If you are based in the UK and would like to enjoy freshly batch-roasted coffee delivered to your door, visit vitalcoffee.co.uk and use the coupon code Mr. Freaky Story to get 10% off on all products. I will leave a link in the description below. I was still thinking of that tragic day, the day my wife died. I was at home watching the news when I heard a knock on the door. When I went and opened it, I saw two officers standing there with their hats off. They asked if they could come in. As I let them in, they told me to sit down. They went on to say that my wife had died in a car accident. I broke out in tears. At her funeral, her family was comforting me, even her dad who didn't like me. After a while, I had to stop sobbing and get my life back on track, because I know my wife Sarah would want me to. The ordeal was really painful. I couldn't stop thinking about her, mostly because I feel like I am to blame. My wife said she was going out, and I knew the roads weren't good, but I didn't stop her. If only I had stopped her, she would still be here. I ended up calling my brother to come over, because I haven't had anyone to talk to since the funeral. When he got here, he asked if I was doing all right. I said yes, but I was lying though. It was then that I noticed he was holding something. "Hey, what have you got there?" He looked down. "You mean my Ouija board?" My brother was into stuff like that. "Why did you bring that?" A smile came across his face. "To contact your dead wife." I was furious. "Why the hell would you bring that stupid thing for? That doesn't even work." He kept smiling. "Oh yes it does, brother. Trust me." Relenting, I reluctantly decided to play along. He set everything up and told me what to do. Then he asked a question. "Is Sarah Richard here?" The thing didn't move. I knew it was fake. But then, the thing moved to yes. I looked at my brother. "Real funny." He looked back at me. "It's not me. It's your wife here. I can prove it." That's when I asked the question. "Okay, if this is my wife, then for our anniversary, what did I get you?" It moved and spelled out a necklace. I was shocked that this was my wife. A smile had came over my face, but I noticed my brother's smile faded, and then he said, "Sarah, is there someone else here?" The thing moved to yes. I was confused, because it was only me, my brother, and my wife's soul. All of a sudden, my glass of wine was thrown off the table and smashed on the floor. This was strange. My brother then asked another question. "Sarah, is this spirit good or bad?" It surprised us both when it spelled out bad. I was scared, then the light started flashing, and my TV started turning off and on. I wanted to get the fuck out of there. I asked my brother what was going on, and he told me that we brought his wife here, but we also brought another spirit, an evil one. I was about to say something until my brother grabbed his arm, screaming. I went over to see if he was all right. It was then that I saw a red mark on his arm, as if something scratched him. Suddenly, I was thrown backwards into my wall. I had no idea how, until I thought I saw red eyes looking at me, but they vanished. I ran over to my brother, grabbed him, and told him we need to get the hell out of here. We ran to the front door, but it wouldn't open. We then heard laughing. It sounded like a man's laugh. I started slamming on the door, trying to get it open. I then started to pray. My brother kicked the door open, and we managed to rush out of my house and hopped in my brother's car. We went back to his place, and I asked what we're supposed to do. The only suggestion he could come up with was that we needed to get a priest. We did exactly that, and even though he did his work, I still didn't feel safe in that house anymore, and I decided to move out. I'm living in an apartment now, and I'm not being haunted by any ghost, and I will never go near an Ouija board ever again. Hello there, my name is Jason, and right now I don't know what to do. I recently graduated from high school. I didn't feel like going to college, and instead found a job one town over. After finding a home, I packed up my stuff and said goodbye to my parents and left. For the sake of the story, I'm not going to tell you the name of the town, but when I got here, I saw people watching me nervously as I pulled up to my house. When I got out and started unpacking, I didn't notice a man was sneaking up behind me until I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned around and saw a guy standing there. He looked to be the same size as me and didn't seem to be much older than me either. He was wearing a red hat. He smiled and said, "Sorry if I scared you. My name's Peter. I was coming over to greet you." I smiled and replied, "Well, my name's Jason. I just recently got a job in this town." Afterwards, he helped me with unpacking my stuff. When we finished, he gave me this serious look and said, "I almost forgot to tell you, this town has a rule. Nobody is allowed out once 9 p.m. hits. You have to stay inside until 6 a.m. I looked at him puzzled. Why? What happens? The serious look on his face changed to one of nervousness. "Oh, nothing, just curfew." Afterwards, he gave me his number and told me if I needed anything, just call, and then he left. I was still wondering why there was a curfew for everyone, but I ignored it, and I went back outside. I heard someone trying to get my attention. I looked over at my neighbor's house and saw this beautiful lady. She had brown hair and looked to be around the same age as me and walked up to me. "You must be my new neighbor. My name's Emily." She held out her hand and I quickly shook it. "Hi, my name's Jason." She looked over and back at me and asked me if anyone told me about the curfew. I quickly told her yes. "Good. I don't want anything happening to someone as good looking as you," I replied. "Thanks, but why is there a curfew for everyone here?" Her face also changed to a nervous one. "The mayor just thought it would be good if everyone had a curfew after what happens past 9 p.m. "Wait, what happens?" She had an even more nervous face now. I said too much," and then walked back into her house. I was even more confused what happens past 9. I brushed it off and went back into my house. Around 8:30 p.m, I finished my dinner and I decided to go to bed, until I noticed it was almost 9 p.m, remembering what I was told. I decided to listen and not go out until I noticed a red hat. "Peter must have left it here by mistake," I said to myself. I called Peter after a while. He picked up. "Hello." "Hey Peter, it's me, Jason, just calling to let you know you left your red hat here. Just wanted to know if you wanted me to bring it back." He replied with a shocked voice. "No, I'll come over tomorrow and please don't go outside. You might not make it back in time for curfew." I was wondering why he seemed so scared on the other end. "Oh, come on, what's the worst that could happen?" And what he said scared me. "You could die if you're out there past 9. Just stay home." I just stood there frozen. And before I could say anything else, he hung up. I was going to die? I was confused, so I went over to my neighbor's house and knocked on a door. I heard scattering on the other side, and then the door opened. "Jason, what are you doing outside? You need to get back inside, it's not safe." I replied with, "What's going on in this town? I was just told that I would die being out past 9. She pulled me in a house and slammed the door. "I should have told you. There's something out there that will kill anything it sees, and it only comes out at 9 p.m. I laughed. "So wait, you're telling me you guys believe in some creature that comes out and hunts anyone it finds? What are we talking about here, a werewolf?" Even though I found humor in the situation, I could see she had a serious face. But before I could say anything, I heard someone banging on the door, "Let me in." I ran over to the door, but Emily grabbed me. "Don't open it." I shrugged her arm off and looked out her window and saw a guy standing out there with a nervous face. "Please, I locked myself out of my house and no one else will let me in." I was going to go over and open the door until I saw him turn around and his face went pale. I looked over and saw this thing walking over it. And when I got a good look, I froze. This thing looked to be at least 7 feet tall. and was very white. It had no hair, no nose, and not even any ears. It had shadow eyes, and its smile was large. It revealed its sharp teeth, and then stretched out its arms, which were hanging down to its legs, revealing large sharp nails. Grabbing the man, it pulled him closer and shoved his tongue on his throat. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. When this thing pulled its tongue out of him, I saw it had the guy's heart, and I saw blood pouring out of the guy's mouth. The creature started eating him until there was not a stain of the man left. Afterwards, it looked over at me. I closed the blinds and walked backwards, slowly, and then Emily told me to slowly walk upstairs. It started banging on the door, trying to get in, and after we got upstairs to a room, she locked the door, telling me we should be safe. That was until we heard a door break open. My heart stopped. We heard the thing downstairs running around and breaking stuff, trying to find us. When we heard it coming up the stairs, she grabbed me and put me in a closet and told me to stay quiet. I did as she told me. She then grabbed her bat and closed the closet door. The thing started banging on a door until I heard it break it open. I peeked out. She swung at it, but it grabbed and then sliced her throat open with its sharp claws. She fell on the floor holding her throat, trying to crawl away from it, but it grabbed her leg and dragged her away. I just stayed there not moving. I couldn't believe what I witnessed. I blame myself for Emily's death. If I had just stayed at my house and followed the rules, she would be alive. I stayed there until morning, and then I finally left the closet. I saw the trail of blood leading out of her house and saw the damage the creature left to her house. Afterwards, I called the police. You hear me now, this was a burglary. Because what happens in this town stays in this town. I don't know if I should leave this town or what. School was almost over, and everybody couldn't wait to get out. That's when the announcements came, and the principal said, "Teachers, please have students remain in the classrooms. This is not a drill. Please remain there until further notice." A bunch of kids were pissed, but the teacher locked the door and told them to remain. All of a sudden, we heard something pulling up. We checked the windows, and it was the army. Okay, this just got fucking serious, I thought. My friend Alex said, "Hey, maybe we should sneak out." I looked at him. "How dumb are you? There's military out there. We will get in a lot of trouble." The teacher told us not to panic, but then we heard screaming from the class next door and a high growl. I stood there, scared, wanting to shit myself. And then we heard firing and more screaming. Further screaming came, but then it went silent. I didn't know what to think after hearing that. My friend Alex went over to the door. My teacher told him not to open it, but he ignored him and went out. I thought to myself, why does this kid want to die? He came back and told us to come check out what happened. Me and 2 other students did, and what we saw, I will always remember. There was blood everywhere, and a student was ripped in half. One of the soldiers was laying there coughing blood, with his stomach ripped open. He told us to run before dying. We went back over to our classroom and told them what we saw. They were all freaking out. That's when we heard it, the growling. I turned around and saw a giant black creature with one eye looking at us. I grabbed Alex and pulled him in. The other 2 students weren't so lucky. The creature grabbed them as I slammed the door and locked it. We heard their screams as we heard their bones being snapped. One girl started crying. Then we heard the thing leave. My teacher was sweating. Then he got up, went over to the door, and said, "It's every man for himself." He opened the door and yelled there and ran away. That arsehole, I thought. I told the class to stay here and lock the door, and I would try to find help. I was walking around. It was silent until I saw the janitor's lifeless body laying there. I stepped over it and kept going. I couldn't do much to help now. But when I got to the cafeteria, I saw something. That creature was hunched over something. When I got a better look, I saw it was our teacher. The creature was chewing on his bones. I wanted to puke. Just then, the creature stopped and slowly turned around. It started laughing as it crawled closer to me. I ran, but that thing kept up with me. Like a horror movie, I tripped, and then it crawled on top of me. Was this how I'm going to die? Then I heard a gunshot, and the creature's eyes splattered. It looked like this was the fatal blow to the creature, as it appeared to have died. 2 soldiers ran over to me and helped me up. They were asking me if I was all right and if there was anyone else. I told them about my class. They got everyone out of the school and they took us somewhere and told us never to tell a soul. We promised. The school was then burnt down and they pinned the deaths on the fire and our lives went back to normal, except mine. After what I saw, my life will never go back to normal. My name is Jack. I'm gonna tell you what happened about a month ago. You see, I'm from New York. I have a good job and a family, so my life's going great. About a month ago, my buddy Frank called me, seeing if I was still going down to Pennsylvania and going camping with him. I told him I was, and that I was bringing beer. My wife knew about me going camping, and when the week came, I was ready. We drove down to Pennsylvania and got to our camping spot. We got set up, and we had bought sandwiches with us to eat, and we each had a beer. As the day turned to night, it started to get dark, and I was going to get some sleep. Frank, on the other hand, decided he wanted to go for a hike. He asked me to join him, and I thought, what the hell, why not? It was dark, and the only light I had was my phone. "Hey, Frank, don't you think it's time to go back?" Frank turned around and looked at me funny. "Why, are you scared, little Jackie?" I was angry. I hated when he called me Jackie, so I just walked back to my tent. But it felt like someone was watching me. I thought it was Frank, so I called out, "Frank! Frank, is that you?" There was no reply, so I continued to walk back to the tent. I got inside and fell asleep. I had a dream where I was in the middle of the woods. I was looking around and then saw a body lying there. I went over and noticed it was Frank. I was about to scream, but no sound came out. I then turned around and saw a glowing pair of eyes watching me. I woke up sweating. I got out of my tent, and it was still pretty dark out. I checked the time on my phone, and it was 3:14 a.m. I was about to go back inside my tent until I heard a twig snap. I thought it was Frank, but then thought it's 3 a.m. and why would he still be out? I checked Frank's tent, and he wasn't there. Was he still out there? I called out his name, but I still didn't get a reply. I decided to go back out into the woods to find him, and after a while of looking and calling out to him, I couldn't pinpoint where he was. Just as I was about to give up and head back, I saw a pair of glowing eyes. "Frank, is that you?" I didn't get a reply. I thought it was just an animal, but then it gave off a horrifying sound. It sounded like a high-pitched woman screaming. I backed away until I saw it throw something out at me. I didn't get a good look at first, until I noticed it was Frank's head. I looked back at the thing. It got closer, so I was able to get a better look. It was a giant, pale creature, and its head looked like a skull. That's when it stretched its head out. Its neck was just expanding, and when it got close to me, it just stared dead at me. Then it wrapped its long neck around me and pulled me closer to it. I thought I was gonna die, but then I heard a gun go off. The creature let me go and took off. I fell to the ground. A person came running up to me holding a shotgun. "You all right, man?" he asked me. "Yeah. Who are you? And what was that?" He helped me up. "I hunt that thing. Its name is the Skull Walker." I was confused. You see, that thing lives in the Pennsylvania woods and stalks its prey. The government tasked me to hunt and contain it. I was still confused, but he went on. Now you can't tell anyone about it, you got it? I nodded. Good. Now you better get out of here. I listened and got the hell out of there. I didn't even pack my stuff. I just drove out. There were so many thoughts going through my head. One was that, what am I going to say about Frank? Now we're back in present time. I still think about what happened. I told the police Frank went missing. They sent out a search party and found nothing. I still haven't told them the truth. Because who would believe me?